We all hear about routine medical procedures, right? The kind that millions of people have every single year to save or improve their lives. But what happens when one of those routine procedures goes perfectly, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't? That's what we're digging into today, the hidden risks that can pop up after even the most common and successful vascular repairs.
So, just picture this for a second. A patient has a standard, minimally invasive procedure. The doctors are happy, everything looks textbook perfect, no complications right off the bat. I mean, it's pretty much the ideal outcome you could hope for. But then, a couple of days go by, and something's not right. A new symptom appears out of nowhere. And just like that, what looks like a complete success story suddenly becomes an urgent medical puzzle that needs solving, and fast.
To really get a handle on how quickly things can flip, let's walk through a real-life case. We're going to follow a patient whose recovery took a turn that absolutely nobody saw coming.
Okay, so our patient is a 67-year-old man. He's got a history of high blood pressure and he's a smoker, so some pretty common risk factors. He goes in for a routine procedure called an endovascular aneurysm repair, or EVAR for short, which is meant to fix a bulge in a major artery. The procedure itself, it goes off without a hitch, flawless. But then 2 days later, he starts feeling this pain in his groin, and he notices some swelling and bruising. So what in the world's going on?
Well, the diagnosis is something called a femoral artery pseudoaneurysm. Now I know, that's a mouthful, but here's the bottom line. It's a leak in the artery. And the only thing stopping a major bleed is the tissue around it, which is forming this dangerous, pulsating bulge. Definitely not what you want. Now you might be thinking, this is just some rare, one-off thing, but it's really not. This patient's problem is directly tied to a massive shift in how we treat vascular disease these days. And to get a sense of the scale we're talking about, get this. There are 236 million adults around the world living with something called peripheral arterial disease, or PAD. That's the underlying condition that so often sets the stage for these exact kinds of procedures. And because so many people have PAD, the number of these minimally invasive procedures, what doctors call peripheral vascular interventions, or PVIs, has just exploded. These are the techniques where they use tiny catheters and wires to fix blood vessels from the inside. We're now doing 10 times more of them than we were back in the mid-90s. They've pretty much replaced the old-school big open bypass surgeries.
But here's the thing. More procedures means more chances for complications, so let's break down where things can go sideways, and we'll start right where the procedure begins, at the puncture site.
This chart here does a great job laying it all out. You can see problems tend to fall into three main categories. You've got issues right at the puncture site, where the catheter goes in. Then you have problems at the angioplasty site, where the actual repair happens. And finally, there are systemic issues, which can affect the whole body. We're going to start with that first one, the puncture site, because that is exactly where our patient's trouble began.
And this is a fantastic visual of what we're talking about. Look on the left. That's a normal, healthy artery with its 3 layers. Now look to the right. That's the pseudoaneurysm. See how it's not a true bulge of the entire artery wall? It's really just a leak that's being held in by only the very outer layer and the tissue around it. It is a pretty fragile situation, to say the least.
So, besides a pseudoaneurysm, there's another, more common issue at the puncture site, a hematoma. We'd probably just call it a bad bruise, right? But in this context, it's a collection of blood that can build up if there's still some bleeding after they pull out the little flexible tube, the sheath, that they use to get into the artery. The good news, though, is that most of these hematomas are pretty simple to deal with. For minor cases, it's really just a matter of applying some pressure and keeping an eye on it. If it's a bit bigger, doctors might use a pressure cuff. It's only in those really rare, severe cases that you need to do something more drastic.
All right, so that covers the entry point. Now let's travel deeper inside the body, to the place where the actual repair was done. So once you're inside the artery, there are 2 big risks to watch out for. First is something called a dissection. That's basically a tear between the layers of the artery wall. And what's wild is how common this is. It can happen in some form in up to 84% of cases. Now, most of them are tiny and no big deal. The other risk is thrombosis. That's a blood clot that suddenly blocks everything up. It's way less common, only around 6% of the time, but when it happens, it is a true limb-threatening emergency.
And then finally, just to complete that roadmap we saw earlier, you have systemic complications. These are the risks that can affect your whole body, not just one spot. We're talking about things like allergic reactions to the contrast dye they use for imaging, or even damage to the kidneys. And in some pretty rare but very serious situations, the stress of the procedure can trigger a heart attack or a stroke.
Okay, so now that we've seen the whole landscape of what can go wrong, let's get back to our guy, the 67-year-old patient. How in the world did doctors fix that dangerous pseudoaneurysm he had?
Well, the solution is actually kind of brilliant. It's incredibly elegant. First, they use an ultrasound to get a really clear look at the problem. They see this 4-centimeter sac with a little half-centimeter neck connecting it to the main artery. Then, while still watching on the ultrasound, they inject a clotting agent called thrombin directly into that leaking sac. And they can literally watch in real time as the flood flow into the sac just stops. It seals the leak from the inside out. How cool is that?
And the result? A fantastic success. The patient was monitored for just 6 hours and then sent home with some pretty simple advice: get some rest, avoid any heavy lifting. So think about that. A really serious complication was fixed with this precise, minimally invasive technique.
So, after exploring all of this, what's the big takeaway? What's the crucial point for anyone who might be having one of these common procedures?
Okay, here's the bottom line. These modern, less invasive procedures mean we get to go home from the hospital much faster. And that's great, but it also shifts some of the responsibility onto us, the patients. Our awareness of symptoms becomes absolutely critical. We have to be the ones watching for any new swelling, bruising, pain, or tingling. Recognizing those signs right away is what ensures we get the right care right when we need it.
Which really leaves us with a final thought to consider. As medicine keeps getting more and more advanced and procedures become less invasive, allowing us to recover in our own homes instead of hospital beds, does our own role in our healthcare journey actually become more important than ever before?